Thank you and a big hello from London. This is the first broadcast of 2026 and there is a lot to go through, as we not only have the weekly technical patterns from last week to look at, but also the monthly technical patterns for December 2025 and the annual technical patterns for the whole of 2025 to digest as well. So I'll start with the longer term patterns. And for the annual technical patterns, well, there was quite a lot this year with one general theme. In the currencies, we had annual key reversals down for 2025 in the US dollar index, US dollar Norwegian krona, US dollar South African rand, US dollar Russian ruble, US dollar Mexican peso, sterling against the South African rand, the US dollar CNY, the onshore Chinese yuan, and the US dollar Romanian leu. We also had annual key reversals up in euro against the US dollar, sterling against the US dollar, aka cable, euro sterling, and the CNY, the onshore Chinese yuan, against the Japanese yen. Now I wish to specifically identify and address the annual key reversals up in euro dollar and sterling against the US dollar. On the surface, these two, and I suppose to a certain degree the US dollar index, indicate a very dollar negative outlook. But I just completed my annual longer term video commentary of both of these pairings, and I would add a strong word of caution. You see, both have had prior annual key reversals up. In recent years, in the case of euro dollar, this is now the third within 8 years, and the prior two had not been successful. This leads me to suggest caution, in that I see some strong, persistent, long-term forces trying to weaken the dollar, but they are getting beaten back. 2025 was just the latest attempt, and the earlier ones had not been successful. But it does not mean that it will not work this time. Just be cautious about a summary surface reading of such patterns. I'll cover these in my annual Forex video commentaries, which were published this past Monday. I'd also add that whilst we had annual key reversals down in US dollar CNY, the onshore Chinese yuan, this was not reflected in the NDF markets nor in the US dollar CNH, the offshore Chinese yuan. Yet another reason to be cautious. In other markets, we had an annual key reversal up for 2025 in the Dow Jones index, though this was not replicated in any other US stock index or stock index future. But we did have an annual key reversal up in the French CAC 40 futures. We also had an annual key reversal up in LME 3-month copper, which already this year has seen further gains, and which I cover in my annual longer term video commentary into LME 3-month copper, to be published later today. Plus another interesting one, an annual key reversal up in the Baltic Handymax index. Now the reason why this is interesting is that this annual key reversal up mirrors a monthly key reversal up seen in the same index for December. This concludes the annual patterns. I'll now look at the monthly patterns, monthly key reversals for December 2025. And I've already mentioned the monthly key reversal up in the Baltic Handymax index. We also had a monthly key reversal down in December in the Baltic Supramax index. Well, it's an interesting comparison there. Meanwhile, over in the currencies, we had a monthly key reversal up in US dollar Indonesian rupee, if only just, though we have seen some follow through higher in this pairing already this week. And also a monthly key reversal up in US dollar Philippine peso, which was clearer and has seen a better follow on higher this week. In the commodities, we had a monthly key reversal up in December in LME 3-month nickel. And no sooner was this done than we have seen an extraordinary follow on higher this week, quite remarkable in its timing and movement. Interesting in its own way was the monthly key reversal down seen in Chicago soybean oil futures, as this was an immediate countering monthly key reversal down to the monthly key reversal up in November. On top of this, we had a dichotomy, as there was also a weekly key reversal up in Chicago soybean oil futures at the same time. And that's the same time as the monthly key reversal down, both right at the end of the year. Now I cover soybean futures in my annual long-term video commentary due out later this week. We also had a monthly key reversal down in NYMEX Henry Hub Nat Gas futures, and this has already seen a follow-on lower, with a gapping move down over the weekend, dropping below the flatlining long moving average, which is currently at 35.49. but today starting to recover and fill in the gap left behind. I should also point out that we had a weekly key reversal down here last week, right at the end of the year. And what is more, it was an immediate countering weekly key reversal down. Finally, we had a monthly key reversal down in December of that favorite of the TikTok generation, GameStop, if only just. This one has not followed through lower, though it is still within last month's range. Okay, so over now finally to last week's weekly key reversals, and there were again quite a few. In the currencies, we had weekly key reversals down in sterling against the rand, South African rand, US dollar Mexican peso, and the US dollar Egyptian pound 1 year NDF. In sterling rand, we have seen some limited moves lower this week into fresh territory. In US dollar Mexican peso, well, not so much, where the market has held around just above last Friday's close. In US dollar Egyptian pound, we had a nice move lower, though within a volatile range. In the fixed income markets, UK gilts had a weekly key reversal down last week, but this week we have seen an about face, with prices pulling back up well within last week's range and above most of last week's actions. Over to the stock indexes, and we had a weekly key reversal up in the Hong Kong Hang Seng Index, as well as in the US, the Philex Semiconductor Index. Both of these have had more than a suitable follow-on higher moves this week, up to and into new territory. Onto commodities, and apart from the ones already mentioned, we had a significant series of weekly key reversals down in New York sugar futures, if only just there, as well as London sugar futures and also the sugar white premium spread. None of these three have followed through lower, with prices returning back within last week's range, though the white premium spread did start the week lower before pulling higher. However, none of them have pulled higher by much. We also had a weekly key reversal down in spot palladium, which had a strong reactionary move back up this week within last week's range. Then over to COMEX CME cobalt futures, which had a weekly key reversal up last week, if only just. This week we have seen a small follow-on higher, but this is, after all, up into virgin territory on the top side. In EX butter futures, we had a weekly key reversal up, if only just last week, after seeing a weekly key reversal down 3 weeks ago, and a total of 3 weekly key reversals down since late October. This week, I suppose maybe unsurprisingly, we have seen a very strong reactionary move back down, such that we are set up to possibly make an immediate countering weekly key reversal down here. Finally, in crypto, and I suppose reflecting the interesting action seen in dollar and currencies, we had a weekly key reversal up in Ripple coin. This has seen a pretty good follow-on higher this week. As always, I'm happy to answer any direct questions with anyone who's interested. With that, I'll finish this section from London, and I hope you found these comments useful.
Thank you for watching and listening. This weekly broadcast gives the essential market patterns and consequences. Please be aware of the risk disclaimer posted both at the front and at the back of this broadcast. Copyright is Eddie Tofpick and ADM Investor Services International Limited. And here comes the final important bit.